Yeah, there we go, mate. You're right.
All good. Yeah, sorry about the decorating. We're just going through it all.
Don't worry about it. Um, so I don't know if you read the questions, but I'm literally going to ask you like very quickly, just like a couple questions about your experiences within football, social media. Um, yeah, that's all right with you.
Yeah, yeah, all good.
So just straight in, like, what is your personal experience with social media
In terms of sports, for
in terms of
football,
you
for
using
example.
it in general, and also just within football? What is your experience with it?
Uh, for social media, I think it's a great platform if you're a player. I think it's great exposure in terms of, for example, if you're scoring goals as a striker, people retweeting it and you're getting exposure. There's always managers, like my Twitter is full of managers following me and everything like that. In terms of seeing stuff like, for example, football scores or general life uh, things what are happening, it's quite good for that reason. And yeah, just connecting with friends, people who you know but they're not your friends, and you just keep in touch.
Yeah, I mean, throughout your career, has the way you view social media kind of changed as you've got older, or as you've progressed in your career, or has you always had kind of a similar mindset?
Yeah, so obviously when you're young, so I must have created my Twitter when I was probably about 14 or 15, or maybe a little bit older. You might tweet stuff, or for example, it might be a League Two team. They might have lost to another League Two team who you might follow. You might be like, you might have tweeted, blah blah blah. That you have to be careful of, especially if you're going down the sports career, because for example, when you have an agent, for example, your dad, he's like, look, what happens if they want to sign you? They're going to check your Twitter account. Then you're being disrespectful to the club. What are the fans going to think of that already? They might say no to you straight away.
Yeah.
That plays a part, and you have to be careful. And also, especially now, I'm a teacher alongside still playing semi-pro football. You have to be careful as well. For example, as you're a teacher, you can't comment on anything in terms of, it could be about, I don't know, the London riots. Just if you had your opinion, even if he was right or wrong, you have to be careful. Especially as well if you play sports. For example, the other day there was a referee. He was refereeing the game yesterday, and he was texting the manager online, and he's refereeing their playoff semi-final game. In my opinion, I think that's not good enough. But again, if I tweet, I might get myself in trouble. So you have to be careful.
Yeah, I mean, a two-parter, are you very active on social media yourself? But also, how much experience do you have with dealing with criticism or people speaking about you online? Have you had much experience with that?
Oh, so the first part, yeah, I'm quite active, especially when I'm fit and playing. Predominantly with Twitter, it'd be more with football, like scoring, retweeting of results, commenting stuff like that. In terms of Instagram and stuff like that, it'd be more about my personal life. I think Instagram, in my opinion, is more my personal life, and Twitter's more my coaching and my football career is all on that page. Part two of your question, everyone goes through, you could be no one who plays sport, you could be anyone. You tweet something, you put it on a platform where everyone can see it in the world. There's always going to be someone who is a keyboard warrior and is going to say something what disagrees with you. In my head, I've always been brought up, words don't affect me. But I understand everyone's different. But you could say anything on Twitter, I might laugh in my head. It generally don't affect me. I'm lucky because I know everyone's not like that.
Yeah.
But to me personally, it don't affect me at all.
Well, just on that, do you have any specific tools for dealing with criticism about yourself that you might think?
Uh Good question. I would say it's more my support mechanism, and what I mean by that is, so for example, my partner, uh, my mom. It could be my friends. I've got a lot of friends, and if they ever had a problem, I'm always open and honest. Even like, for example, even when you have an agent, go speak to them. They will always give you an honest opinion, obviously to help you as well. But I'd always, if I felt that uncomfortable, I just might say it to them, and then they give you their opinion to make me feel better. but I would use my support mechanism to make me feel better if I needed to. I'm not afraid to do that, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
And have you ever felt at any point in your career where if you've seen something about yourself or even just the general pressure around you and your name around the club, have you ever seen anything that's maybe altered your own mindset about like your own game or how you think about your own performance?
Uh, yeah, you always might get like there's a thing called forums. So when you play for a club, whatever level, even like low non-league level to very good level, like step one conference prem, all clubs will have a forum. So the fans will join in, and all you would have to do is type in Dylan Kearney in the forum, and it'll come up with all the comments regarding Dylan Kearney. Everyone does it because listen, like I love having praise. I'm that player where I want praise. I'm a striker, so I want everyone to go, "Oh my god, well done." But also, I like seeing because if someone goes, "I don't think he's good enough," or "I don't think he played well," fair enough. That's your opinion. You're a fan. You're entitled to. But then next time, just say if I score, I will go check to see if he said anything then. But that's just me, and I know everyone's different. But it's weird. I get like energy off of sometimes negative comments because I'm like, I hope I prove you wrong.
Yeah, so it's interesting because I feel like a lot of players, look when I speak to people or any athlete kind of in sport, a lot of them say they use criticism as a way to kind of motivate themselves within their own game. So is that quite a key mindset to have when you're playing football?
I think, forget just football. I think every sport, anything was competitive, you have to be like that because if you don't, you have a high chance of failing, in my opinion. And why I say that is because you're always gonna have someone who disagrees or don't like you for what you're performing on. If you crumble at one or two things said about you, in my opinion, it's going to be a very long road. And I think that's part of the parcel of being an athlete or playing in the sport where it's competitive. You have to deal with that, and that comes with the job. And if you are struggling with that, and you are someone who does struggle with that, I personally think that's a big issue. What you need to attack first and get that maybe in more of a controlled mechanism. Otherwise, if you don't, obviously we all know mental health is a serious thing, and that could dip your performance massively, that could dip your life massively, and no one wants that. So I think it's really important that athletes who are trying to make it in any sport, let alone just football, you have to be able to deal with negative comments, negative criticism, because at the end of the day, that's part of the job. Like
Yeah.
it or you don't like it, it is what it is. You have to deal with it.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, at any level of football, you're always going to get criticised.
Always gonna do it. Yeah.
But do you feel like you're the kind of player that gets a bit of stick within the ground, within the stadium from the fans? Do you think in some way that might help you off the pitch if you're kind of seeing things about yourself, if you experience being kind of at the game and the fans in the stadium are also just having a go at you or giving you stick?
Yeah. Well, uh, even after that, I love getting criticised by the away fans. But
Yeah,
when
no,
I home fans,
I heard you do like feeding off the fans.
oh, there's no, in my opinion. So I give you a prime example. We played. I think it was Corinthian Casuals. It was away maybe 3 years ago. They had about 120 fans, very loud fans, drums, everything. There's very good fans to be fair. And they was calling me everything under the sun about weight, blah blah blah. And I was like, come on, I need to score. And it puts more pressure because in my head, I'm like, the only way I can respectfully shut them up or make them be quiet is by sticking the ball in the back of the net. And I was like, come on, I'm going to do it. And then when I did it, I lobbed the goalie. I just went up to the crowd and I gave it to him like a Jude Bellingham. In my head, that is, I will take all the abuse for 85 minutes as long as I can have that moment because that is my mechanism to get over it. And I think again, if I don't score, does it affect me too much? No, I'm just more upset. Oh, I could have gave it to him. Do you
Yeah,
know
I
what I
mean,
mean?
obviously you obviously have kind of personality that enjoys feeding off the kind of
Oh
fans
yeah,
giving you things. But do
yeah.
you think on the flip side of that, if a player doesn't have the same kind of mentality as you do, can you see how that might kind of affect their own mindset or affect their own game?
1,000,000%. 1,000,000. I've seen people crumble when like there's fans getting onto them, and then worrying about everything too much. I've seen people wanting to come off because they can't deal with the pressure. Again, like I say, I just know I've been brought up from a young age. If you're going to play sport, it's pressure at the end of the day. And that's what is the difference. You can be a Sunday league player and have not a lot of pressure. The difference is when you go up the leagues or you play any decent level of football, there's pressure to it. And I think the difference is the higher you get up, the more pressure you get. And it's if you're able to cope with that. And pressure comes in pressure from your manager, pressure from the chairman, pressure from your agent. It could be pressure from the fans, away fans, everyone. And I think you have to you have to try and be able to not show, like, for example, if someone's giving you abuse and you go back and you want to go over and use physical violence and then suddenly you're going to be sent off, then you're going to make a selfish choice to the team, even though they might have said something really rude and you might be spot on. They've said something really rude or something really personal. At the end of the day, you're playing football. It's a team sport. So you have to kind of shut off. We use the saying in Ireland, like a horse, they have blinkers on. So basically, don't worry about everything else. Just focus on what you can see. So the fans are on the outside, management, whatever. Try and forget about that or push it to the side and just focus on your job.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, in the modern game, modern football, everything revolves around social media, the
Oh
pundits,
yeah.
the analysis, fans, everything. So if
Hmm.
you're a young player now, 18, 19-year-old coming in at whatever level it is, what advice would you give to a young player that's struggling to deal with the constant just social media pressure and getting overwhelmed by it all?
Turn off comments. Turn off comments. So I think you can do it on your Instagram. So if you put up a post, you can turn off comments. Uh, get off your phone, respectfully. A lot of top footballers now in like Premier League, like the high levels, they don't go on their phone for social media use like I do. They will have someone running it. If you feel like it affects you that much, you need to be open and honest and go, you know what? Maybe can mum or dad or uncle, whoever who I trust, can they run my account? And I think what you're saying to me is you have to look at yourself and go, will this affect me? Will this bring me down in terms of sports performance? If it does, fine. Do I pass the job to someone else to run it? Or can I be mentally strong enough to carry on with it? If you can't, you're not less of a man or more of a man. It's just if that's going to affect your sports performance, you need to push it onto someone else then. And I think people have to be honest. If you're 18 and 19-year-old and that's going to affect you, then go, you know what, mum and dad, I can't do it, but I know social media is important for my sports performance page. Can someone else help me run it? Because I can't focus on that. And then set up a private Instagram where you just have your friends and you have to follow to be accepted. Because that's what a lot of pro footballers do. They have their own. For example, one of my friends, he has his own account and it'd be his name is just say Reese Cole. He will have RC something something. You'll never know it's him. But that's just for his friends and family only. So he could put up he went fishing, for example. But if he put up he went fishing on his page and he plays for Exeter, people might laugh at him.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? So you have
Yeah.
to weigh up where you're at as a person and as an individual. Again, you're not right or wrong if you can't deal with it or you can. You just have to be honest and open to where you're at, and then whatever level you're at, adjust accordingly to where you're at, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, throughout kind of all of English football, I mean, the culture in this country, especially, is very like fan wise, it's very like, let's get on to everyone, let's just abuse everyone. And
Mm.
that's kind of a big culture in this country. But how, as a player, how would you juggle kind of the wanting to have your own presence online and wanting to be your own personality and show about who you are, but also have to deal with the fact that you are also an example, you are setting an example as a footballer. You have responsibility to kind of not kind of overstep the mark and not kind of not step out of line too much. So how do you kind of juggle that responsibility with wanting to have both sides of it?
That's a. I think it's a. I think it's a hard. It's a hard scale in terms of like you have to get it spot on, and it's very hard to do, and a lot of people fail at it. Uh, but I would say, like I said before, and I still stick by it, you have to look at yourself and say to yourself where you're at in terms of mental strength, blah blah blah, and then wherever you're at, you go off accordingly. So if you are not very good at dealing with negative comments, fine. Well then, don't be on social media as much where you're exposed to seeing that. And if you don't, and you can't deal with negative comments, and you're on it 24/7, you know what's going to come. So it's like you're setting yourself up for failure, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a good way to be. I think you want to always surround yourself by positive things or people. And yeah, if I couldn't deal with negative comments, I wouldn't check it. End of period.
Yeah. Just lastly, in your opinion, what would need to change kind of around the culture, the toxicity of the online fans, and just everyone kind of having everyone kind of the freedom that people have to say whatever they want without much or any repercussions really coming back their way. What do you think needs to change in order to kind of shut that out? It's a
Uh,
difficult
I,
question.
I would say so. For example, on Twitter, you would so Twitter, like for example, if I typed in your name, I could just go comment off your tweet or whatever you're involved in. How about making it where you can only tweet about something if you are accepted by that person only? So then you will never see hatred, crime, or negative comments. So, for example, if John Ryan, who is a diehard fan for the team I'm at now, Flatwell Heath, goes, "Oh, Dylan's terrible. He's this, he's that." You can't say that to me. I can't see that unless I accept you, and that will help people, I guess.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much, Dylan.